Sometimes movies tell great stories. Sometimes they tell important stories. Sometimes they do both.
There is another opening in the engineer training program. A person with engineer's mind should be an engineer. You can't be a computer the rest of your life.
Mr. Zelensky, I'm a Negro woman. I'm not going to entertain the impossible.
And I'm a Polish Jew whose parents died in a Nazi prison camp. Now I'm standing beneath a spaceship that's going to carry an astronaut to the stars. Let me ask you, if you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer?
I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
Hidden Figures tells the true and amazing story of three of the African-American women that worked in NASA's West Computing Division during a time of racial upheaval in this country and a time when we were trying to beat the Russians into space. Is it a movie that you'll be rushing to see? I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Here's 5 things you might want to know about Hidden Figures. Let's go ahead and start at the most obvious place, I think, which is talking about the racial issues that are involved in this movie. I think the movie handles them wonderfully. Such a valuable insight, not only into the racial tension of the era, but how that tension played in American institutions like NASA, our own governmental institutions. And I thought it's a very valuable look at that. Plus, it didn't fall into the traps of the white savior, although maybe there's a little bit of that with Kevin Costner here, but I really don't think so. Or the white villain. It really found a way to feel authentically American, not to downplay the issues, not to overplay the issues, but to really truly put us in that situation. And I think that's important for us to do. The other thing that makes this movie great, in my opinion, are these stories. True stories about these 3 women that the movie focuses on, what they went through, how they got there. It's not only interesting and entertaining, it's powerful, it's moving. And here's the other thing. You know that these are just 3 examples of so many other stories that we haven't heard. Not just in that computing division in NASA either, but throughout our country of people who we don't recognize because of racial issues that our country has dealt with. And I'm so glad to see them brought forth because their stories are fascinating. Of course, those true stories wouldn't mean as much if you didn't believe the people playing them. These 3 actresses are incredible here. You've got Octavia Spencer, who we know is incredible, Taraji P. Henson, who continues to do great work, and then you've got Janelle Monáe, who's also really good here, who really hasn't been in a lot. And not only that, but the 3 of them work really well together, and their performances kind of bring out the best in each other. It also allows for some real humor here because you believe their chemistry, you believe what they're going through, you buy into their performances. It allows you to laugh with them and feel with them. I think all of that is important. And let me just say this for number 4. When you're dealing with 3 characters who are going through very different things, although also similar, and the thematics have to tie in, but the stories have to branch out, that's a high level of difficulty. But I really think they pull it off. They understand which stories to prioritize at which times. So they know who you want to be seeing, what you want to know about them. And they're not afraid to spend more time on one story than another. They understand that some of the stories don't need as much screen time. Some of them need more screen time. That's so important to recognize. Otherwise, you're bogged down in places you don't necessarily need to be. I always felt like I was learning exactly what I needed to learn in this movie, and I think that's a credit to the filmmakers. So let's get to the one negative I did have with Hidden Figures. I think it's a little neat and tidy. Kind of feels like a sitcom at points. The authenticity kind of suffers. Now, let me be very clear. I don't need this to be some sort of dark, gritty, rated R version of Hidden Figures. I like that it's actually PG and it doesn't even put the 13 on. That's kind of cool. What I mean by this is more that it has to find a way to be authentic in who these people are. And when everything is kind of glossed over, kind of given that Disney sheen, I've talked about this in other movies, you lose a little bit of that because you know life is a little different than that, a little grittier than that. And I just didn't see the flaws in either the characters or the plot or different things as much as I think I wanted to understand them as authentic human beings even more. Still, overall, Hidden Figures is a great watch. It's very entertaining, very important. I'm really glad I understand more about these people and what they went through. I give it an A-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the best ever challenge here in a bit. Before we do, I'd love to connect more with you. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, just search for Aaron Dicer, Aarondicer. Love to hang out there. Also, we can hang out at the podcast, SiftPop, SiftPop, wherever you do podcasts. Just search for it there, and we'll hang out every week, talk movies, pop culture, whatever else you want to. All right, on to the best ever challenge, where you pick the best ever movie in a particular category. Also try to guess my choice by a clue I give you. And we're going to do best Octavia Spencer movie ever. Now, it doesn't mean performance by her. It means best movie ever that she was in. And she's been in quite a few good ones. I'm going to have to go with the one where she played alongside the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Well, at least someone who shares his name, except for the middle initial, which is B. Take a guess at mine in the comments. First person to get it right does get a point. And as always, here's 5 extra seconds to hit the subscribe logo. Just click it right down in this corner.